I am so thrilled to have as my first vlog guest of my IJA presidency, the internationally renowned judicial ethics expert, Ray McCoskey. In Lake County, we proudly claim Ray as our own because that's where he served for 25 years on the bench before retiring in 2010. He's now an adjunct professor at University of Illinois Chicago Law School and teaches courses on professional responsibility, evidence, and jury selection. He's a published author of Judges in Street Clothes, and he also serves as the vice chair of the Illinois Judicial Ethics Committee and is a perennial member of the faculty at the biannual Judicial Education Conference. You can join him and Justice Sharon Johnson at EdCon 2026 discussing what else? Judges in the community. Welcome, Judge Ray McCoskey.
Liz, thanks very much, and thank you very much for that nice introduction, undeserved introduction. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
So as you know, the IJA has undertaken an initiative that we're calling Building a Bridge from the Courthouse to Community. And we're asking judges to step into their local neighborhoods and engage with residents. Of course, judges are always concerned about staying within the boundaries of the rules. Is it ethically allowed for a judge to be out and about in the community talking about the work of the courts?
Liz, short answer is absolutely. And thanks for starting with an easy question. I appreciate it.
Okay, so go ahead.
The question is answered by the Illinois Code of Judicial Conduct of 2023. It's that important that they put it in there under Rule 3.1, which governs the judge's extrajudicial activities, specifically uses the word encourage. The code encourages judges to be involved in law-related and non-law-related extrajudicial activities, and specifically mentions speaking and writing and teaching the public about how the court system works. And they put that in there. Hopefully the judges will partake in it and thereby build public confidence in the judiciary, but also because, as we all know, being a judge is sort of a job in isolation. And the drafters of the code wanted to make sure that the judges get out a little bit. Tough to get out when you're in court, but when you're not in court, some contact with the community only benefits the community and the judge.
So that's very helpful. What kinds of groups should or shouldn't a judge be speaking to?
The natural ones are the non-partisan, non-advocacy groups that we all know: Rotary, Lions, Exchange clubs, alumni clubs from schools, veteran clubs, retired teachers.
Okay, that's also very...
Those kind of groups, they're not advocacy, they're not politically involved as a group, they're not partisan. It's those kind of groups that I think are tailor-made for the kind of presentations that you and the IJA are developing and are really the most beneficial. Groups like that, and there's a lot of them around.
All right, so we know that we can go out. We know the kinds of groups we should be talking to. What topics might be appropriate or inappropriate for presentation by a judge?
As far as appropriate, there's just really a long list of appropriate topics, almost anything concerning the law. But ones that I think are good are ones that the judge has been involved in, has some knowledge of. It could be traffic court, it could be small claims court, it could be the court arbitration program or mediation in general as an alternative to litigation. One that I always thought was a good one was jury service, because when you're speaking to the Rotary or the mothers of twins I spoke to once, they have had some contact with the jury system or have a relative that has, and they have some personal involvement in it or interest in it, or might be called for jury service. And it's a chance for the judge to instill how important jury service is and how important jurors are, to sort of prepare them or give them a little pep talk if they do get called. It's a chance also to tell some funny stories that the judge witnessed or was a part of during jury selection, or excuses people have given the judge to try to get out of jury service. I always thought that was a good topic, but domestic violence, there's a lot of topics. One that I wish I would have thought of when I was a judge and would have done more with is history of the courts. Whether it's the local court like Lake County where I sat, there's a lot in the history. And in the Supreme Court would be, Illinois Supreme Court would be a even better topic. And then that opens up all this local historical societies to be speakers, or for judges to be speakers at. I mean, I live in the rural area of Lake County, and within 8 miles of where I live, there's 3 local historical societies that I'm a member of. Those would be naturals for judges to talk to, I think. As far as topics that judges might want to stay away from, the number 1 on the list is pending cases. And that includes actually impending cases. Pending cases a judge can't talk about. And Illinois has a very broad prohibition on that. It's not just pending cases before the judge, or not just pending cases before the court the judge sits on. It's pending cases anywhere in the United States, anywhere in the world. It's one of the broadest prohibitions, for good reason, I might add. I agree with it. So you have to stay away from pending cases and impending cases, which are cases that are likely to be filed or could be filed in the near future. The other thing I would suggest to judges, I would be hesitant in giving personal opinions about the law. The code doesn't absolutely prohibit giving personal opinions, but there's a lot of qualifications on it. And I think giving personal opinions leads toward debate, leads toward discussion, that's not so informative when people take sides on an issue. So I think staying away from personal opinions is generally a good idea. And if an audience member asks about a judge's personal opinion, it's a good opportunity to define the role of a judge. The judge's personal opinions don't play any role in the judge's decision. And judges take an oath on that. And judges are serious about their oath. And I think it's a good chance to teach the public participants in the group about the role of the judge. Facts in the law, set aside personal opinions and relationships, and judges are very good at doing that. So I would stay away from pending cases, personal opinions. Probably also, you don't want to be talking about too controversial of issues, because that then transforms the speech from informative about court procedures and the law to more of a debate again. So I would stay away from controversial issues. There may be a role for judges in participating in discussions about controversial issues, social, political, economic, international issues. But I don't think talking to the Rotary necessarily, or the mothers of twins, or alumni groups is the right spot for that.
So those are great tips. And I love that. Well, I mean, first of all, thinking about who your audience is, the kinds of things that might actually impact them, and also an opportunity to show judges as human. I love when you said how mentioning kind of funny stories, things that happen in the courtroom or jury selection, really gives an opportunity for people to see who we are as people, and that we have senses of humor, which is great. So when judges go out into the community, and one of the concerns that I'm hearing over and over is about responding to questions in public. I know you've talked already about some of the prohibitions, but there's always a concern when a question is asked, and how a judge should respond to it if he or she feels that it's an appropriate question, something beyond the boundaries of ethics, or if the judge simply doesn't know the answer.
The judge doesn't know the answer. My advice would be the same I gave to lawyers who practice in front of me. Tell me you don't know the answer. Don't try to dance around it. And I think judges telling a group, I don't know the answer to that, is a plus. It helps define the role of the judge as a neutral, objective observer that's going to find out about the law before they start talking about it. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Some questions that you don't know the answer to, like I suppose, for instance, if you're talking about traffic court and somebody asks, how many tickets were issued in Sangamon County last year, and you don't know, you could find out, probably a member of the audience could find out on the internet in about 10 seconds. But you could find out and then email that person or email the person who's in charge of organizing that event and convey that information. If there's a question about, well, there's new law that's passed, could you tell us about the provisions of the new law? Well, if you know about the provisions and talk about it objectively, fine. But if you're not sure what the new law says, then you need to say and teach at the same time that I know about the law. I haven't researched it thoroughly yet, and I'm just hesitant to make any statements because I don't want to get anything wrong. My job is to get things right. So I'm going to look into that law more carefully. But right now, I just can't express definite. I can't explain definite provisions because I'm not familiar enough with them. If it's a question where you think it's on the edge, is this ethical or not ethical? To answer, of course, the safest response to that is not to answer it, but to explain to the audience that the question is on the fringe of what's ethically permissible and what's not ethically permissible, and discuss that issue. But the judge cannot say anything that would adversely affect the judge's impartiality or appear to affect impartiality, and so that the judge always errs on the safe side. And my experience with talking to groups is they accept that because they want to look at the judge as objective, not guessing at things, not coming close to the line of ethical and unethical.
Yes, that's so helpful. So we've learned here that judges are not only permitted, but encouraged to engage with the community. We've also identified appropriate topics for judges to discuss and how to avoid controversial issues. So this leads me to my final question. Why is any of this significant? In addition to their already busy and demanding schedules, why should judges make time to participate in this initiative?
And that is, I suppose, the bottom line question. And judges are busy, and it does take some effort to get in your car and drive at noon or at 7 o'clock for the Friends of the Library meeting to talk. It's, in my view, essential because judges can help build public confidence in the courts on the bench by being fair and impartial, being prepared, being objective, and showing that in their decisions. But they can also demonstrate public or improve public confidence in the courts in the other part of the personal life. The code of conduct also explains what the reasons are for this. Judges need to be in the community according to the code of judicial conduct to integrate themselves into the community, learn what's going on in the community. We've talked about that a little bit. And number two, the code specifically says that by speaking to groups, the judge is going to further public trust in the system. And these are the two main reasons why it's important. Integrate the judge. The judge can't be isolated. Integrate the judge in the community. Teach the public about the system to build public confidence. And exactly the other thing you said, which I think is equally important and is not in the code, and that is let people know judges are humans. They have lives. They maybe got a dog barking in the background if they're talking over Zoom. They have lives, and they're devoted and committed to their communities. I think when judges do this, even if judges are hesitant to do it like the first time I ever did it, the feedback is so great that it sort of reinvigorates the judge. There are people out there who are not necessarily involved in litigation, are not lawyers that the judge doesn't see during the day. And I think it helps reinvigorate the judge. And I think it's a positive experience for the judge and the community that can't be duplicated any other way.
I couldn't agree with that more. Every time I am out in the community speaking with one of these groups, I find myself just supercharged, and also how eager and interested people are in this work of the courts. So I know that it will be as fulfilling for the people in the audience as it will be for the judge who is participating in these talks. Ray, you have certainly helped us to chart our course forward. With my most heartfelt thanks for sharing with us today. Oh, did you want to say something else?
You know, Liz, of course, I thought I was going to forget this, and I did, and I'm sorry for interrupting you. I wanted to let everybody know that sometimes there's questions about who you should speak before, what the topic should be or whatever come up. And the Illinois Judicial Ethics Committee, which I'm on, which I'm giving a plug for, can help guide judges when when they have questions like this about their extrajudicial activities. And to get a hold of a member of the Illinois Judicial Ethics Committee for some help, contact Margot Holland at ija.org. She'll put you set you up with a member to talk to and get some advice from. Sorry, Liz, thanks, but I wanted to give the IJEC a plug.
No, I'm so glad you brought that up. I myself have on multiple occasions relied on the resources of the JEC. It is invaluable to judges, and the response is prompt and thorough and so helpful. So Ray, again, with heartfelt thanks, onward we go, building a bridge from the courthouse to the community. Stay tuned for more tips and guidance ahead. We're off to a great start. Thanks so much.